So what gives me hope is that things change when they absolutely have to change. And I think we might be getting to that point. The other thing that gives me hope is I think we are going to see more people more involved.
How do you get a more sustainable solution? And what I argued in my comments is that we do need to look at the technology companies that have been indirectly subsidized through the program. I'll have more to say later, but essentially for decades, we've been spending money as ratepayers to get people online. And when they get online, they use services like Microsoft and Google and Meta and TikTok and YouTube.
As someone who's criticized USF for quite a long time, that doesn't mean I wanted the court to overturn this decision and leave the recipients, cut off in some arbitrary timeline. That's a terrible outcome, and I worked with a coalition to prevent that from happening. I think it's actually detrimental to tax broadband. I think that's really problematic.
That's one of the biggest reasons why people argue for fiber is that it's less costly to maintain than legacy networks. Like I'd prefer not to tax broadband, but if you're going to bring them in, you have to broaden the base much larger by bringing in the tech players as well.
We have two paths ahead of us, as far as I can tell. One is, well, I'm ignoring the third path of doing nothing. Let's hope we don't do that. One path is that the Federal Communications Commission uses the authority it has and it reforms the program and hopefully addresses all of the issues, not just the contribution issue. The other is that Congress gives the Federal Communications Commission a little bit more power to look at other sources of revenue.
I don't want to minimize the need for looking at distribution. I think one of the reasons why the Affordable Connectivity Program expired is because Congress could not agree on reforms.
On day two after decision, you've got recipients who made clear to us that if this were to happen, you're talking about immediate bankruptcy and firing of companies and cutting back on service to many parts of America. That's not a good outcome.
And I think the ACP was important. We need to find a way to pay for it. I'm open to a reasonable tax on broadband services.
So I prefer that the burden of this program be placed on businesses, which is why I'm looking to business transactions like cloud services, like digital advertising, as opposed to raising consumers' broadband prices. I would much prefer this be a business burden.
So to me, this is a social program. This is social spending. That's what Congress is basically supposed to be doing if it wants to spend this money. If it thinks that it should spend money for social goals, it should pay for them.
I think we need to think seriously about that as we rush into this new age. Whether it is improvements in wireless or whether it is low Earth orbit satellites, there is going to be more opportunity in rural America. And I think we should have a USF. I think we should have terrestrial options. But I think it will have to look quite different.